Okay, thank you for joining the Elkville Christian Church podcast. This is episode 4. I am Jake Gibbs.
And I'm Jordan Evans. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having us.
We are joined with Allison Keith.
Hello.
And Susan Crane.
Hello.
Thank you both for being a part of this with us. We appreciate it. Now, you both are in the nursery frequently. As a dad who doesn't drop off the kids, every time I am around that area, you're both in there quite a bit. So we're going to get to know a little bit more about what you do specifically, your different roles, or what a day in the life is like for what on a Sunday morning and beyond. But first, Jordan has some important questions for you.
I do. I need a pen for this. These are just real quick, just to get the old noodle warmed up. So what is your favorite food?
Pizza. But don't tell my boss.
Stuffed peppers.
Really?
Yes.
That is an odd one.
With mashed potatoes. I like to mix them together.
Stuffed pepper or stuffed pepper casserole?
My mom still makes them for my birthday. That's what my meal. But she actually does the peppers. She doesn't cut them up. She puts the stuffing in the peppers. So.
My mom always used to make stuffed peppers, but without the pepper.
Yeah.
We always got ripped off.
Did you not like the pepper, though?
I don't know.
You don't know. You just had stuffed. Everybody just got
rice and meat?
We just had to eat whatever was provided, so I'm kind of curious.
It's good.
You need to ask your mom, what happened to the green peppers?
I will ask her that.
All right, movie you could watch on repeat.
Lion King.
Newsies.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
It's a musical. It's really good.
Well, most Disney movies are musicals too. So
Lion King we have been watching on repeat.
that's the flavor of the month.
It comes in waves.
Yeah.
Actually, we just got over a Space Jam kick, and we're back to a Goofy movie.
That's a good one.
But there's only about 5 movies in rotation right now, and so I'm sure Lion King will be coming up quick.
Yeah. That was Travis's favorite. We had to go to the movie theater 4 times and then buy the movie as soon as it came out. So
Jordan, I'll age myself, but I babysat Jordan, and we watched Jungle Book on repeat and Bambi.
Oh.
Those were
Bambi?
when he was little. He was littler, but he would tell everybody, "You're Twitter-pated."
Thumper. Yeah, but I can honestly say I haven't watched that one with Mila yet.
You need to pull it out of the old archives.
Deer getting shot. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It is rough at the beginning.
I was always sad at that movie.
Yeah, it's not. It's kind of depressing. Maybe that's what's wrong with me. All right. Anyway,
You made him watch that movie too much.
yeah.
It's all my fault.
Beatles, Beach Boys, or Elvis Presley?
Beach Boys.
Elvis.
All right. If you could visit any era, time period, what would it be?
Not Noah's Ark.
No, considering I hope I didn't miss the boat. Only a select few made it, and I don't want to go back there see if I did. I would like to go back. I would like to be a pioneer woman.
Like Little House on the Prairie.
Like Little House on the Prairie.
Dust Bowl, Depression.
Yeah.
That sounds.
Oh boy.
That sounds miserable.
I don't know. There's something very. I mean, it was obviously a whole lot harder than it is now, but very simple about that time. So
That's like how our Amish live now.
yeah. I thought about if something ever happened to my family, just going and seeing what it was like.
Past, present, or future. If you could have dinner and a conversation with any person, who would it be?
Past my mother.
I would probably do past grandma. Just to have a few more. Actually, either one of my grandmas. They both probably had a lot of things that I should have asked that I didn't know or think to ask when they were here.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I always think historically, but yeah, simple wise, I mean, it would be like my grandpa, Eugene. I remember him, but I don't remember talking to him much. He passed away early. But all right, if you could be president for a day, what would be the first thing you would do? It can be silly, can be serious.
You have to keep it within constitutional powers, though.
What if I really wouldn't want anything to do with being the president of the United States?
Well, you could just tear it all down. That's fine, too. That'll be edited out. Don't worry.
But no, we'll leave it. I mean, like free Dippin' Dots for every American. I
don't know if that's constitutional.
Why? Presidential or executive order. I can do whatever I want.
Who's going to pay for it?
We are.
Well,
Just like we are now.
well, I've been teaching my 8-year-old about the Federal Reserve, and if you just make more money, then everything goes up and the inflation, all that. Yeah, I honestly wouldn't want to be president.
Me either.
That's fair.
That's a good answer, too.
That's fair. All right. If you weren't doing what you do now, what would your dream job be?
I don't know. I love what I do.
That
I really do.
That's a great response.
I am the same way. I really love what I do. I am around when my kids are home from school, and I have a job that I work, a couple days a week, and I like it. I like what I do.
Would you rather know the history of every object you touched or be able to talk to animals? I think I put this one in the family.
Yeah, this is a tough one. And I think I was one of the only few that didn't go with history in the family thing. I said I'd like to talk to animals.
Me too. That's what I'm sitting here thinking. They're going to think we're strange.
Yeah.
It would be really nice to be able to talk to my dog
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to reason with a pet. Just be like, this is why you're being reprimanded right now. Don't bark at this time.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk to our dogs talk to us anyway, but it's in different voices that we've made up for them, and they and they sound what we think they sound like. But
Yeah. Sounds entertaining.
The Bible verse comes from the English Standard Version, 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 10 and 11. As each has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. Whoever speaks, as one who speaks oracles of God. Whoever serves, as one who serves by the strength that God supplies, in order that everything God may be glorified through Jesus Christ. To him belong glory and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
All right, so obviously the theme of the videos that we're making are all about serving and the volunteers who serve in our church, and it being looked at as not so much as a duty or an obligation, but being a joyful giver in the sense that you're not only giving monetary to the church, but you're also giving your time in an act of service to one another, which is ultimately a service to God. So in light of that verse, what you guys are doing is definitely a service in many ways, working in the nursery. So why don't you go ahead and, if you would, kind of talk about what you do in the nursery specifically on a Sunday morning, and how you think this verse applies to what you do.
I kind of got asked to come in, I don't know, maybe around October, November.
Yeah.
Poor Susan sometimes was in the nursery, and they said one time there was 12 kids in there.
Climbing shelves. I'm saying, please don't do that. Don't get hurt.
And we have a very interesting nursery where we are birth to 5. And that's a big, big age. And it's very hard to try to teach when you have babies also. And so I kind of came in and started kind of doing a lesson, and Susan she helps with the lesson, but she usually has one baby on a lap and somewhere else, and she's also the really nice and sweet one, and I'm a little bit more scary because I have an intense personality. So Susan, the ones that I scare, she usually is the ones like, it's okay, Miss Allie's not as scary as she comes across.
The enforcer.
That's right.
But it's also great because just like last week, the lesson we had, when we went home, Elliot was talking about the manna. And then when we go outside, he goes and gets a stick, and he stands at this rock, and he keeps hitting this rock. Mm-hmm. He said, the water's not coming down the rock, like Miss Allie said. I said, because God didn't speak to that rock. So they're like sponges.
They are.
Even little Gracie, she is at an age that, I mean, it's once she started talking to me, whoa, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she tells you
But-
all sorts of things. Sometimes I don't understand what she's saying,
the
but
only
she
good
can
thing.
talk, man. She.
Yeah.
That's the only.
But they are sponges, and
They are.
it's a blessing to watch them and to know that we follow up with whatever lesson that we do throughout the week, and we try to send papers home so the parents can do that too.
So what you're talking about then specifically would be like Sunday school time, while the adults are in classes of their own. You guys are doing a Sunday school lesson for the little kids.
Yes.
Okay. And then some of them stick around, or do they get a break and then they come back? Or how-
Yeah, some of them do go with their parents, get a donut, and come back. And then during church service, there's usually like Jenny's in there with your three. And then a lot of the one or the other of a parent will stay with the kid if they're don't feel comfortable. But last week there were like 15 kids in there, and I think there were 6 adults. So, but I mean, people need to volunteer. I mean, it's a blessing. You get a blessing out of it.
Yeah.
What age group did you say it was?
It is birth to 5, and I do know we are short on classrooms right now, which is why, because ideally it would be like birth to 2 and then a classroom for the 3 to 5 year olds, but we're making do with what we have. And honestly, and there for a while we had up to 2nd graders in there.
Yeah.
And we have split now, and it works a lot better with the kindergarten 1st and 2nd in the other classroom, and the little kids. Everybody just, I think, feels more comfortable. But I don't know. I think we make do with the birth to 5, and they all seem to get a lot out of it. And I know, early on we did like a poem about creation, and Mila could do it, and
Dane
could say it, and Elliot can,
Yeah.
in the songs that and it's just amazing. Like Susan was saying, to watch. I think some people think, oh, it's just the little ones, but they just take everything in, and then sometimes you have to correct how they're saying it back because they get it confused. But I think adults do that too. But it is amazing, and it's a huge blessing when one of them comes in and wants to tell you something, and it's really neat to watch.
Yeah, so that kind of leads me into my next question. I was thinking about, like, before having kids of my own, I didn't really understand the importance of putting them in that atmosphere where they're being taught the truth about how the world works. Like, why put that off? Like, even though you don't think that they can intellectually understand what you're talking about, I don't know how much of that is actually true, but they are getting such a firm foundation by being taught the truth from a very early age, and an appreciation and a familiarity with biblical principles, from day one. I think that's such a great thing that we do as a church, and you guys are actively a part of. That's fantastic. How do you get the curriculum that you teach?
When we lived in Kentucky for 3.5 years, the church that we had started going to, they had this curriculum, and it is every story. And I mean, growing up, it was the same stories, but I don't know if I ever really related how every single story ties to Jesus. Whether it's from creation to, Revelation, everything is centered around Jesus Christ. And, now when I hear stories, like even Jeremy, he's done a couple of the kindergarten 2nd classes, and he'll read the curriculum and he's like,
I didn't catch
I never put that together. And so when I started, I was teaching the kids at that church, and we had that curriculum, and I was just like kind of blown away at some of the stuff that I had missed, even all through adulthood. And so that's why when I got here and got asked to help, and I was doing the curriculum, we did it a couple times. And not that God did make everybody's eyes and ears and all of that stuff, absolutely. But kids can go deeper than what we think they can. Yeah. And so I liked that it wasn't just surface, but it was building that foundation of why you believe what you do, and not just, the surface stuff.
You said at one point the K through 2, you guys were all together, so you're split up again?
We are split up again, yes.
Need a teacher for?
Jeremy and Abby have started doing it, and they both are really enjoying doing it together. So,
and that's one of the things we want to try to highlight is that as much of a blessing as it is to serve in the church in any capacity, we're finite human beings. So every once in a while you need a break, or maybe there's something else you want to do, and so what we're trying to do is inspire others to fill in, be a substitute, take a couple weeks and try it on for size. Is there anything specific, like if someone's going to watch this and think maybe I'd like to try it, is there anything specific you'd like to say to that person, like if they're on the fence, if they're worried about how hectic it is in there, like is it really that bad? Does the positive things outweigh the negative things? How would you describe that?
Tell them to sit in on a class with us and see. And I mean, you can feel the energy there. And like I said, with the kids being sponges, and they could start off as an extra helper. We can always use an extra hand.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then if they don't want to teach, there's always, children's church or the nursery for real church.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we need more volunteers for all that stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the big things that would be nice to have is a sub list of people that you could call that would be willing to, do a week here or there, and, you could get the curriculum to them. But, I know if she's not feeling good or if I'm not feeling good, it's like, okay, who's going to do this and who's going to be in there? And, then it's, well, Kayla sometimes will take the older kids and but it would be nice if we just had, and that's one where, you may only be called to serve once a month or, once every 2 months, but at least we had, a list of people who were willing to jump in and do that if, one of us weren't there. That's always nice and helpful.
Well, we hope with these podcasts that we can, like Jake said, inspire some people to get some more depth on the bench, if you will. So
one other thing I will say with the if you feel like you don't have anything to give or anything, especially if you have young kids, Satan's always going to tell you, no, you can't do that. You can't do that, because he doesn't want families in the church. And I think it's scarier than it really actually is. Once you get in there, it's not bad. Once you get a routine going, kids are great with routines. It may take a few weeks to get them there, but they pretty much know exactly what we're going to do, and they'll help move the chairs and do all that, and they know what's coming. And I mean, if it's a free-for-all, it's a little more chaotic. But once you kind of have, okay, this is what we're going to do and go from there, they pretty well kind of get in line and go along with that routine really well. But when you have young kids, it's hard to get there, and then you have all that. Well, I'm late, or I just can't get it done, and there's too many, and that's Satan going, I don't really want you there. And sometimes you just gotta, say, I'm just gonna sign up for it, see how it goes, and nobody's gonna think you're a failure if you try it for a couple weeks and it doesn't work out. Sometimes, and I think that ties back to the verse, we all have our unique gifts. Some people are not teachers. They're just
They
not. They're just not. But they're wonderful in all the other, not all the other, but they do have a gift that can help serve the church. I can get on a real rant about this. But we are such a self-serving society anymore that our needs and wants don't always fall in with what the church needs and wants, and it cuts into our personal stuff. And that's what we kind of have to get back to. And it starts with teaching the little ones, because I'm scared to death of what's going to happen in 10 to 15 years. Where's everybody going to be that wants to help be leaders of the church and do stuff? And if we don't get back to getting the little ones here and them knowing why they love God, and not just, well, it's Sunday and we're going to go to church and that's what we're going to do, but why do we love Jesus? Why does Jesus love us? It could get even scarier than it is. And
Foundation.
That absolutely.
And that's why we're glad you're the one that's teaching that class right now. And if I may, it's really easy to show up. I just show up 10 minutes late, and I bring Mila in and interrupt your class.
And we have to recap so everybody else is double learning what they learned.
But here's the thing. I love, as long as they're coming in, at least they're getting there.
Yeah.
You know? And there's going to be times where you're going to be late. It's just going to happen. But still try to get them there.
And we have what we call the Mila time. Is it Mila time yet? We'll look at the
We'll
clock.
look at the clock. And it's almost Mila time. She's about here.
Same thing is happening in the adult class. Is it? Oh, George's not here yet, so we're still early.
Yep. I'll be late for my own funeral.
It's a good one to be late for.
That's a really good point because COVID messed everything up, and we had Dane during COVID, and so not only having the COVID aspect, but that was our first kid, and we never thought we could ever do anything again, and so it was a struggle to get back to going to church, let alone coming back that much earlier, and then we had a second one, and it's hectic, especially when you are just sitting there thinking about it. But when you just do it, it's great. The kids love what you guys are doing. They look forward to it. And I never thought of it as soaking anything in. I was kind of like what you were talking about was just come, get them into that routine, that church is a thing we're going to do as a family every Sunday. But then on top of that, they learn all those fundamentals I remember growing up learning. And if you keep putting that off, it's like, bam, they're going to be several years old. They've already, like Dane's already 4, and it's amazing that time goes by. I can only imagine, one of these days will be 11, 12, and you've still never brought them to church, technically, and that's so important.
And I've read, don't quote me on this, but that by 5 years old, kids have a lot of the foundational beliefs that they're going to carry throughout life by 5.
I would agree.
And, and it's amazing, but it's also scary because, like you said, it's like that and they're past that age. And then all of a sudden they get in school and then they get into the age where what mom and dad thinks doesn't matter anymore. It's what my peers think, and if you've got all those peers that, going to church isn't very cool, then you're going to have a harder time getting your kid to church versus if they've been doing it since birth.
Yeah.
That's just what we do,
Yeah, that was one of the things I was thinking about was if you're not teaching your kids, they're always being taught by someone or something. So that is the default, and they're getting taught that regardless if you're in church or not. Yeah. So if you're not participating in church, they're not getting anything good most of the time. And so that's just very important that we stress that.
Come on, you act like the world's a scary place.
Well, it is. It's somewhat scary.
Yeah. Just I got a couple of quick notes here. Just Kayla wanted me to mention. So we need more nursery volunteers, and we would like them to submit to a background check, and preferably be members. Cannot be new attendees. And then VBS is right around the corner, and it'll be here before you know it. And we need volunteers for that. And also would like them to submit to a background check. And we also need more communion servers. So if any of those things or sound interesting or something you feel like you could serve in, we could certainly use you.
Yeah. So if anybody was wanting to reach out and get involved, who would you say they need to talk to?
You? You're the organizer of the volunteers, are you not? Yeah. I remember hearing that in one of the services I got to sit in.
Well, if you want results, I'm just kidding. I'm certainly available, and I will direct you to the right person. But as far as the scheduling and everything goes, does that Kayla?
Yeah, Kayla does that. Yeah.
Okay.
And we talked about the scary, yes, kids can be scary if somebody's not really wanting to work with kids. there is a whole, we've got the food service teams that come in and they prepare dinners or funeral dinners and stuff. And I know they have a great time. Like it's always a hoot in the kitchen. They're a mess. And, like you said, the communion and all that stuff. One thing that I think people can fall into in certain is I'm not qualified, or how could God use me? If you really know and look in the Bible, most of the people who God used were screw-ups, just like all of us. So there's no reason to feel like you're not good enough or that God can't use you because, like I said, Paul, who was Saul, he persecuted Christians. He was awful to them. And when God got a hold of him, his life was changed. Don't ever think that you're too far removed from anything that God can't use you, because he can.
Well,
Amen.
Yeah, amen. I've heard Joyce Hickman mention it a couple of times, but more often than not, the person that is serving is blessed more than the people that person is serving. Mm-hmm. When you give, you just get so much more back, and it's really wonderful to see. So, take a step of faith and
that's right,
and serve.
Yeah, it won't hurt you to try it, at least.
No,
not
at all. It's always worth a shot.
That's right.
You might just enjoy it.